Get over it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Today is actually our Christmas lesson, but you are invited to come back on Wednesday evening for the candlelight service and come back on the 28th for the after Christmas service, and then make a promise to yourself to come back in 2015 for the other services. That was an advertisement. We need you. You need us. Together, the Christ is born in us. Say, the Christ is born in me today.
The Christ is born in me today.
The one thing that I have to say today that is very important is that we do not view the coming of Christ as most other religious folk within Christianity. We are metaphysicians. Everything we draw from the Bible, we see as metaphors that we can apply in our lives. So even the birth of Christ is actually to us a metaphor. And what makes it even so important to us is that when we look at the stories of the birth of Jesus, they conflict and they're not the same. Because each writer wrote to his or her community, trying to inform them about how powerful Jesus of Nazareth was to them. And in order to make him the Savior, they used whatever language, whatever literary style was available to portray Jesus to his community. You remember that these Gospels were not written to be put into a library called the Bible. They were written for individual groups who didn't know that the other groups existed. In about 396, they brought all these works together to form what we call the Christian Bible. From that time to now, other things have happened. We place Christmas on the 25th of December, actually celebrating a pagan holiday, the Festival of Lights, surrounding the winter solstice. So we have taken paganism and mixed with Jewish ideas, and we have created a new religion. This is back 2,000 years ago, called Christianity, which bears some resemblance to its past. But we began to worship an individual, which is pagan. The Jews would never worship a human being. As important as Moses was to them, Moses, when he died, his body was not buried so that it could be found that they go worship a body. He died in the mountains, and they went on their journey. There's no record of Samuel's birth and death. He was important to the Jews also. King David, there was no reference. So all these birth stories are stories made up to influence pagan minds after the death of Jesus, when Christianity, through Paul and other of his disciples, began to spread it amongst the Greeks and the Romans. So today, I want to take another look at the stories that you might have grown up with. In Matthew, the angel of the Lord came to Joseph and said, Joseph, the young woman that you are betrothed to is pregnant. but please do not put her away. There might be shame and scandal in the family. Which he did not put her away. In Luke, the angel appears to Mary and says, "You have been chosen by God to bear a son who will be mighty." Now this resembles very much Zeus and Jupiter coming down from Mount Olympus and mixing with the female folk of that time and creating sons who were half gods and half human. So when we look at the Jesus of Luke, because Luke was Greek, his story is framed for a Greek mind, so those people could understand how important this man Jesus was, because he was the son of the head god. But there's still conflict today because the Jews do not recognize Jesus as the Son of God. Because the Son of God was actually a title given to a monarch. It did not literally mean Son of God. It was a title, meaning he who was anointed to be the servant of God, called Messiah. So I just wanted to get that out of the way so when we get into the true story, as interpreted by us, you might get something out of this understanding that I hope to bring unto you this morning. So let's get past these stories. These stories are not true. They are narratives that were written to introduce Jesus to the community. What is the real story? The Jews at that time, somewhere between 12 BC and let's say 12, what we call AD or the Christ era today, was under severe pressure from the Romans, who had been their masters for about 100 years or so, or less. Not 100 years, maybe about 50 years or so. And there were groups within Judaism, like the Zealots, who were antagonistic towards the Romans. And at that time, there was a call for someone to come to deliver us from the hands of the Romans. In their history, the first one to come to deliver them was Moses. Moses came and delivered them from the Egyptians. And somewhere maybe about 500 or so, no less than that, I can't remember the time, I don't want to give you wrong information, delete. And then, as the Greeks had conquered them, came the Maccabees, Judas Maccabeus, who delivered them from the Greeks. And now again, because they believed that God, Yahweh, was their what? Rescuer and deliverer, some prayed and some fought. Around that time, there were many men who preached against the Romans and were considered to be messiahs. A messiah meant one who was supposed to lead the people out of bondage. A young man, his name was not Jesus, might have been Joshua, translated in the Greek to Jesus and used in the Romans as Jesus, comes on the scene. And his message was different. so different that people had to believe, wow, this man is the chosen one. To his followers, he was a rabbi, a teacher, who they believed was sent from heaven to do God's work. To some who were zealots, and in his disciples, he did have followers of the zealot movement with him. When he told Peter to put up your sword, it meant that those zealots walked around with swords at the time to kill off Romans who were alone. You see, on one side, they are called freedom fighters, and on the other side, they are called terrorists. Whoever is in charge, call them terrorists. Whoever is fighting for freedom will call them freedom fighters. Same person. To some of the Jews, Jesus was like a freedom fighter, helping them to deliver themselves from the yoke of the Romans. But to the Romans, anyone who could gather a crowd and who could influence sedition was considered a terrorist. I want you to understand that. That's the story of Jesus of Nazareth. So let's get back to Luke. The most prominent story that we hear is the story of Luke. The angel came to Mary, and then Mary doubted, and the angel said, don't doubt, with God, all things are possible. And it said that after she received the good news, still in shock, it says that she went up into the hill country to visit with her cousin, who was also in the same state that she was. Now, when we read this, we don't see it as two women gathering together to talk about their morning sickness. We see it as a soul that has received an idea that can deliver that person from all their troubles. And the first thing that that person did was go up into the hill country. The hill country, we say, represents a higher state of consciousness through prayer and meditation, that they could concentrate and attract like-minded people to them. Because sometimes when we get a good idea, we go tell people who will tell us what? Don't do that. That is trouble. But you have just been told that with God all things are possible. Right? But so you don't want fear and doubt to get in. Because some of our friends are the ones who keep us down. Because they don't want you to leave them. So anything good that you bring, that can't work. Something is wrong with you for be thinking that way. You can't be straight. You are out of this world. Have you ever been told that? So, through the power of love, as we go up into this mental state of prayer, prayer just means to close your mind so that more stuff that could influence the idea could come. Prayer is not about saying words. Prayer is about making yourself further available to the God in you so that you could process the material that you have gotten and lead it to perfection. Have you ever had a good idea and you just go to someone and they tell you, Well, it's kind of iffy. So what do? You either let it rest. Hello now. You don't do anything about it. And it passes. But when we, through prayer and meditation, climb up into this high state, something happens. New ideas that are similar to this idea starts pouring forth. That's the work of the creative mind. Creativity means that I am open and receptive to have the fullness come forth before I start to do any work on it. See, sometimes we get the idea and we rush out. And halfway through what? It collapses. In this case, Mary goes up to the high country and meets up with Elizabeth. And it says, as soon as the two of them met, the babe leapt in the womb. Meaning what? When we enjoin ourselves with people who are of like-mindedness, wonderful things begin to happen. It means that an excitement, because when you go and tell Harry, I have this idea. He said, me too. And then you say, well, what's yours? He says, I am full of it. And you say, well, I'm full of it too. What can we do about them? And there you begin to do what? Talk in a positive manner, helping each other, right?
Yes.
And then you ask yourself, how did I really get here? You look around you, you see the families who were born of better parents than you. They have a lot of money, they have social standing. And then you ask yourself, well, why would God choose me? You know? He ain't had no money. Abused and refused. Hello now. Why would God choose me? Because a mind that is not puffed up, a mind that humbles itself, is a mind that remains pure. A mind that feels low in spirit is a mind that says, God is working through me and not me controlling God. So that whatever God sends to me, I know that God has carefully looked over it and has sent it to me because God is directly connected to me, and I surrender my entire life to God. So the first thing that a soul needs to do is to purge itself from all self-righteousness. Humble itself so that it becomes open and receptive to the Spirit of God, which is constantly moving in and through us. But we can't hear God because we feel so much and so full of ourselves. Do you feel full of yourself? Talk to me. And that's what this lesson is all about. Humbling yourself before God. Does not mean to be so meek that you become weak. It's to say of myself, I can do nothing. It is the Father in me that will do its work in and through me. That's the first thing that Mary did. Mary said, when she referred back to Elizabeth. She says, my soul magnifies the Lord. I make God all there is. The biggest thing that could ever happen to me is for God to be around me wherever I am. And my spirit rejoices in God, my Savior. Look at me. I didn't know where the last meal I ate, where it came from, and how the next one will come. Helena, I don't have a job. Helena, but God has given me an idea. So sometimes in our low state, that's the best place to be. You see, when the kitchen is empty, you become aware you have no food. That's when you reach out to God and say, help me. And then God does what? Send the ideas necessary for you to fill the kitchen. But when the kitchen is full, you don't think about God, do you? No. Helena, you come and go, open the cupboard, open the fridge, anytime, and it's full. But when there is nothing in it, that's when you say, God help me. For behold, henceforth all generation will call me blessed. Because I have an idea. If I allow this idea to develop fully in and through me, it will bless those around me. Let me tell you something. In every heart, there is an idea that can feed the rest of humanity. You don't have to be a member of Doctors Without Borders. Right where you are, you could influence all the people around you with something that God has given you and given you alone. If you let it open you up to the point it will open itself to yourself and the world around you. In every one of us, there is a blessing to be shared. There is something to give. And unless we are willing to go all the way like Jesus did in his life, we will never be able to experience the joy that fulfillment brings. For he is mighty, he who is mighty has done good works for me, and his name is holy. Holy means, it comes from the Gaelic word that means W-H-O-L-E, hail. So we're saying that God is all there is. So if God has sent me an idea, the idea comes fully clothed. You know that an idea is just like a seed. Within that seed has everything it needs to be the mighty oak tree. You don't have to add anything but just to put it in good soil and it will grow. You are an idea in God, waiting for God to use you so that you could become a blessing in a positive way. Because there are negative blessings, called rabble rousers. But you could be a positive blessing to all those in your life and around you. For his mercy is on those who fear him from generation. This fear does not mean to crouch and let a bully take over. This is to respect. His mercy is on those who respect him. How great thou art! How great thou art! You are all that there is, and there is nothing else, God, but you. He has shown strength with his arms. He has scattered the proud in the imagination of their hearts. What he's saying here, what Luke is saying, he says, you know, sometimes God works in a mysterious way. You see someone who has climbed the ladder of success, and you respect them, you honor them, And you are saying, man, that person is so successful. And then one day as you were coming home, red, blue, orange lights all up the neighborhood, all in the driveway. And you are saying, so God, that's what you mean, he has scattered the proud. He has brought them down. You see, when you follow the law works. It doesn't matter whether you work it for good or bad, it works. And one day, when the sirens pass your street, when you have done good, you know they ain't stopping by me, they're going by my neighbor. You understand that? This is how God works. God works in a way that I came to the conclusion several years ago. I respect every human being, but I will not worship any. I will not put any human being on a pedestal, but I respect every human being. You know why? Every mind thinks. And every mind has been programmed to think a certain way. And sometimes what I call good, somebody calls bad and evil. So I don't look at what you do. I look at the impact that you have on me when you come into my presence. Sometimes, you know, some people come and you don't feel right. Have you ever had that? They're looking shady, but suddenly your heart gets a shade over it, covering up. It's time to move away. In doing this ministry over the years, I have had people who came to me, Evan, you want some quick money? And I said to them, the mint has been working at a certain speed. It does not speed up to give me money. All my money will come through the process. I want no fast money. I remember someone came to me and said they had property in Jamaica. And it's well planted with herbs. And if I could find a route to get the veg here, we could make money. You got to use wisdom. You see, once you get into a bad habit, hello now, you get powerful stupid. You feel the cops could never get a hold of you. That's when you fall. You get what I'm saying? If you're going to do something, do right and stay right. Don't be scratchy. Don't be here and be willing to go there for a morsel of food. No. Walk the path. This is what Mary is saying. Walk a clear path. Narrow is the way that leads to fulfillment. Don't take shortcuts. They come back to haunt you. Hello now? Have you ever taken a shortcut and realized it was really a long cut? Because you got to come back after and start back where you were supposed to start from. And to follow the path that they told you to follow. This is Mary. He has put down the mighty from their thrones and exalted those of low degree. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich, you know why? You know why the rich is sent away? I'll put it in another way. The moment you say you know, you can't learn anything else. You're rich. That's why it says it's easier for a poor man to experience the kingdom of fullness than a rich man. Hello now. So sometimes we need to clean ourselves because some of us are carrying a lot of burden. things we think about ourselves. Hello there. You ever felt better than other people? You ever wake up one morning and say, hey, look at me, Tarzan. You could speak the truth. All of us have gone through that. I mean, what? It wasn't Tarzan with you. Who was it? Jane. You were Jane? I ain't going there as your mother. Look your mother there. I thought Chantel was Jane. Okay. I was just asking. It's on tape. But what I'm saying, sometimes you wake up with this feeling, wow, look how good I am. And you go into the mirror. Oh yes, it looks good. Uh-huh. Ooh. Look what I have made of myself. And what happens? You remember the story of Lucifer? Lucifer was a head angel. And one day he rose up and felt like he was God. And what happened? He fell. We cannot give birth to that Christ spirit in us with these lofty, stated mental appreciations of ourselves. You know, when you begin to take care of the least amongst you and be one with them like a Gandhi, mixing with the untouchables. Hello now. Have you ever mixed with the untouchables? See, when I was growing up, my mother and they used to tell me, you see, those people, don't ever let me see you with them. Hello now. See, my mother and they had some prejudice, but they used to call some those and we these. So we grew up with these ideas of ourselves that unless we drop them, because sometimes, you know, the untouchables are the ones who God has sent to help us bring forth the idea that we have in our heads. Because those are the only ones who listen. Because all the mighty ones, they don't listen. Hello now. How many of your rich friends come to help you shovel the snow? They ain't coming. Them have snow blowers. Every known tool in the garage. Why would they come to help you? But some person who is low mentally would help. Haven't you been helped by people who sometimes you are surprised that they did help you? Hello now. And you walk away believing because they think you are somebody. And you start to strut. No. There is something in you which is called the Christ that attracts people in your life who can help you. But those are the ones we try to turn away. Have you ever turned away people who you don't consider to be at your status? Hello? I'm going to say something. I don't care how you take it. Like if I ever did. I got to say something here. Father, I had no plans to say it, but every person of African descent in the Western world, except you came late, we all have the history of coming on our back on a boat, beaten and tortured, so there is no black person in the Western world who is better than me. We all came the same way to the new world. So get off your high horse. because I am one with you.
Yes.
Just want to share that. We have a common history. We are one. It doesn't matter who you think you are. Once you're here, kinky like mine. No matter what you do with it, you could put dye, straightener. Once your nose look like mine. Oh, no. And the same goes for Europeans. Have a common history. There is no human being on the earth who is better than another human being. Come down,
Amen.
Zacchaeus. And let the world see you for who you are. A spiritual being on a journey, traveling through all these foreign lands, hoping to go home. But you cannot go home with all that baggage that you carry. Come down. Start living by appreciating everyone in your life. White, green, black, blue, we are all children of the same Father. That's your Christmas when you come down and start to appreciate whoever is in your life. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his misery. You know, sometimes those of us who have struggled, when we get on top, we make hell for those who are still struggling. Hello now. We struggled for years to climb the ladder. They kick us in the head, and finally we got the strength to pull him off and get at the top of the ladder, and then we start kicking those below us. You kick people with the words that come out of your mouth. You kick people with the looks you give them when you go in the market and you see what they're wearing and you don't want them to touch you. You kick people. You know, as I said, when you come into this room, the message are for those who we are streaming to, because all of us have been transformed, right? What I'm saying, Christmas is not about buying gifts. It's letting that little child that God placed in you when you were born, when you did this, and gasp, and suddenly life erupted inside of this body. That's the Christ in you that wants to live. Hello now. Hello now. So if you ask me what I want for Christmas, ask me. Would you give it to me? A Lamborghini. What I'm saying, it's not about gifts to be received. It's the gift of yourself to be given. For God so loved the world that he gave you to the world, that whosoever sees you and believe that you can help them can be helped and will be helped. Amen. You are the light of the world. The Christ in you wants to shine forth. Stop covering it up with what you think about yourself. All those notions of granted, you went to school for 20 years and you end up with some little titles and you start to walk with the titles until the shoe heels start to break, because every day you have to change and walk a different walk, because you want people to recognize you for what you think you have become. You are nothing but a spiritual being in the presence of God. Merry Christmas. You know the lesson that I came to give is not this one. So I'll start it now. Do like John. You see, Matthew framed for the Jews, his narrative, and Luke for the Greeks. But what did John do? John says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning was the idea. The word means the idea, that perfect seed And the perfect seed was with God, and the perfect seed was God. You are, as the scripture says, you are God's, created in the image likeness of God. You don't need to become better than you are. You just need to do the good that you are. That is Christmas. Christmas is letting the Spirit that is God in you become flesh and dwelling amongst the people in your life so you could influence in a positive way and turn the darkness into light. If where you are doesn't light up, something is wrong with you. Go change the wattage from 40 to 100 and you might see a little more and people will see a little more. You see, when your thoughts are dark, hello now, your light is dark. So sometimes you could just look, you ever look at people and can't see their face? Says, because they have frowns, hair tight. No, here looking. All kind of stuff. It's a mask that they use to cover up who they really are. Say, I'm a child of God.
I'm a child of God.
I'm the light of the world.
I'm the light of the world.
And from this moment forward, I am going to let my light shine. So everyone around me could see me and glorify the God presence in themselves. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Sean is going to help me here this morning, and the voices are going to help me. This little light, you could help me too. You going to help me? You know some of the words? All right, come on.
This little light of mine,
I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Come on. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Come on. Shine it all over Toronto. I'm going to let it shine. Come on. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Shine it all over Toronto. Come on. Shine all over the world. Oh, come on. I'm going to let it shine. Oh, yes. All over the world. I'm going to let it shine. All over the world, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Up and down the avenue, come on. Up and down the avenue, I'm gonna let it shine. Up and down the avenue, I'm gonna let it shine. Up and down the avenue, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Turn to somebody and just say to them, I behold the Christ in you. This is my Christmas day.
This is my Christmas day.
Go ahead. This is a fun one. At least I think so. So please join us if you know this part. Here we go. The angel Gabriel one day was passing by. The Lord Almighty catch a wing and stop me fly. I want you, Gabriel, to take a message right down to Nazareth. But and tell Miss Mary I choose she only to bear my baby. Ba-dum, 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 bum, ba. Here we go. When Gabriel reached down, Miss Mary say she pressed. He frightened she so, nearly make she fall downstairs. Don't frighten, lady. The Lord Almighty send me to tell you, ba-dum, 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 bum, ba, that you find favor to bear His Savior. Let me hear you answer, ba-dum, 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 ba. I'm gonna be married now. Here we go. Then Mary turned and prayer to God within she high. You really want me in your plan to have a part? I am your servant. I love you dearly. But what about Joseph? He loves me dearly. He may be angry. Don't let him suffer. Back to God. And God Almighty answer she within the heart. I really want you in my plan to have a part. And as far as Joseph, a legal father, the baby must have. I will invite him to be your husband and bring up the baby. At last Miss Mary make reply to Gabriel. Let what you tell me come about in me as well. To God I say yes. To God I say yes. Truly He knows best. To God I say yes. To God I say yes. Truly He knows best.